Hey, Michelle, how are you today? Welcome.
I'm good. How are you?
Great, great. Welcome to Estate and Succession Mastery after a few weeks hiatus, because you've got some great news. Do you want to talk about the birth of this new child, so to speak, in a
Yes.
manner of speaking?
Yeah. So my colleague Tom McVeigh, formerly a director of Murdoch Lawyers, and I have started a new law practice called Life Legacy Legal, which focuses on estate planning, succession planning, and estate administration. So that's all just happened in the last couple of weeks.
Well, from the first of July. So congratulations, Michelle, and Tom as well. So I'll put the website up there so everyone can go and have a look at the team. And wow, you've got a huge team there you've put together, you guys. So well done,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
A lot of focus in estate and succession planning, and which augurs well for the sort of work that we've done with you guys in the past. So looking forward to the. Just got to get my tongue around Life Legacy Legal. It's all that alliteration, so to
Yes.
speak. Anyway, who came up with that? You or Tom or both?
It was an extremely long process, but in the end, I'd say it was probably more Tom than me, but there were a couple of tweaks at the end. So it was a very long process to come up with the name, actually.
Right. I remember getting the survey form and all. So, but look, today I just thought we'd touch on specialisation, I guess, and what you guys are doing. And I'm a great believer in specialisation in all areas of life. If you've got an illness, you go to the person that specialises in that and get it fixed. You don't go well. You go to the general practitioner to get the referral, excuse me, to the specialist. But when things are serious, when there's a lot of money involved, when there's important things involved, relationships and so on, it's always important that you go to people who just focus and specialise in one particular area. So I'm really excited about the team you've got together and the sort of work that you're doing, and knowing that people that have worked with us in the past, even though they got emails and got confused, life goes on as normal. So nobody needs to panic. So also wanted to talk about today, Michelle, and open to any topics you want to bring up as well. But I just wanted to talk about mindsets that people need to have in regard to getting their estate and succession planning done. And I'm just sitting here sort of pushing the latest book of 10 mindsets of estate and succession planning. But so I just want to talk on people getting their mindsets right in regard to attacking this the right way and making sure they're in a good space. And the second thing is in regard to the process that we use when people are introduced to us. The process we use to make sure we get off on the right foot with people, and focus and the big issues that we focus on. So is there anything else you want to chat about today over our 30 minutes?
I think let's start with that and see where we end up.
Okay. I'm still going to mention that surfboard hasn't moved behind you.
I know, it's not good.
That's the joy of being a business owner, and off you go. No, I was just thinking about over the last few weeks, we've met a few new people, a few new clients have come to us, and it's been interesting. A lot have been as a result of a podcast I did some time ago with Sam Frey from a place called Home, and did a podcast with Sam, and it was just a great opportunity to talk about what I love chatting about, which is helping rural people to get all this sort of stuff sorted. But a few people have asked me about the process we use, and it's interesting, Michelle, that we were talking before we started about you can be the most technically competent person in the world, but nothing beats the relationship and being able to have conversations with people, does it?
Yeah, that's correct. You've got to be able to talk to people and engage and interact with people, and encourage them to open up to interact with you, because the more you know, the more you can help.
Absolutely. Questions are a really important part of the process as well too, because you know it's not what you tell people; it's the questions you ask, so that they can discover for themselves what their biggest issues are. So, I always find it intriguing that you go to seminars, and I went to Beef Week a number of weeks ago up in Rockhampton, and I was listening to some people up there talking about estate planning and succession planning and so on, and it was interesting. There was so much technical information was disseminated in the session, and I thought, well, that's great knowing all that technical stuff, but can someone come and have a chat with me and me some questions and find out what's happening in my life, so that we really get to the crux of what those people need to do. I believe talking to people's emotions and getting them motivated emotionally is the most important part, isn't it?
Yeah, and having empathy and an interest in their life is essential. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I say, so a few people have asked me about the process that we used, and it was interesting the other day. I flew up from Dubbo up to Central Queensland on Sunday of all days to catch up with some new clients up in northern Central Queensland. And one of the things I always find, Michelle, which is most important, is to sit down and have face-to-face communication with people. And I always start with talking with mum and dad, and finding out what their dreams and aspirations are. I have this saying, I don't want all the numbers so much up front. I don't want the balance sheet and all the structures and all those sorts of things. Although it's important eventually that we get to the crux of that, so you guys can do your great future focus. What is the future planning report? And due diligence and so on. But to me, the most important things are what comes out of people's hearts. And you touched on a great word before in regard to empathy, and that's what I know Tom's very good at that. You're good at that, and I think that's something hopefully we do well is actually being able to sit down and feel what other people are feeling, so that you can help alleviate their pain, because there's always pain, isn't there, in regard to what people are going through.
Yeah, every single time.
Okay, and so what we do normally is sit down and talk with mum and dad, and it was great the other day. I had the opportunity of meeting all the children. So my take on this sort of work is not to sit down and have a conversation with everyone around the table in one fell swoop, because it never kinds of work. Never works if you get everyone together up front. Everyone's got an agenda. The quiet ones will sit quietly in the corner and be pissed off at the end of it because they haven't been heard, because they didn't say anything. The loud ones. Then sometimes people, can bully if they're the loud, noisy ones in the family, and other times people don't say anything because they don't want to offend their parents' wishes and aspirations. But it was interesting, and this meeting I had with these people on the weekend was just a great example. I spent time with mum and dad. They picked me up from the airstrip I landed, and we went around and had a look at the property, and I was able to have a great chat with them and understand the background of the property, understand their dreams and aspirations, and their take, I guess, on the relationships in the family and the communication level in the family. And there's that word. It's taken us 9.5 minutes, communication. Because I need to understand how the siblings communicate, and then, as I say, sit down afterwards, have a chat with everyone individually. Sat down with each of the kids individually and chatted with them, and by the end of it, except for the fact that there's some financial information, assets and loans and all that sort of stuff that I'm still not aware of, but I got a really good picture and a good feeling between how all the family members get on, and I think my skill is in being able to come in, talk to everyone, get a feel for what's going on, and then from a high level, just sort of look at it and go, yep, this, and this is going to be the way to solve all the issues. If something happens to mum and dad, that you can put something in place which is going to create a fair outcome for those left behind. But you do, you've worked with us with a lot of our rural clients and so on. Michelle, any take or any thoughts in regard to how best to first communicate with people?
Yeah. So firstly, I think it's really great that you've identified that people in the family, everyone in the family is different and approaches how they interact with each other differently. And just to have them all separately and have an individual meeting is just so important. And yes, it gives you the bigger picture, because I definitely think if you had a all family meeting, the instructions or the beginning of the matter would start very differently and would end very differently and probably inappropriately. So it's fantastic you do that. And then from there, we know we've got the whole background from every side.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing is you can't fix this sort of stuff from within the family. So them trying to work it out, the family trying to work it out themselves is always a waste of time, because you don't know what you don't know. And, you might be very good at raising cattle or sowing crops or whatever. But, if you're not a specialist in the area, you don't know what questions to ask, you don't know what options are available. And you might be plowing literally, you might be heading off in one direction because of an unawareness, you're disregarding some of the options which might provide the best outcome. But no, it was a great session on Sunday. As I say, met each of the parents, spoke to everyone individually, the kids and so on, and we all sat down, had dinner together, and as a family, it's funny, and not saying that was the case in this case, but many times when I turn up and all the kids turn up, it's the first time they've all got together as a family for months and months and months. So it was nice to see the family all together, and it helps me then too also pick up the dynamics between each of the kids, because it's very important what's going to happen if something did happen to mum and dad. How do you make sure you create that fairness and harmony for the family? And as I say, for me to be aware of the dynamics of the relationships, because everyone's different. There's the boy, the eldest, there's the girl, the eldest, is someone in a relationship with someone the others don't like, is someone in a relationship the others love. I need to understand all that, because then it makes it easier, when putting together the final plan to have a conversation. So communication is certainly a very important part of it. Thoughts? Anything else you want to add? Or
no, I agree with all of that.
Okay, thank you. I get a gold star so far, do I?
Gold sticker.
A little sticker on my book. But interestingly, and I just want to recap some of the things I put down, Michelle, as I guess the big issues for these initial family meetings I have. I call it in our process sitting down and having a cuppa and a chat with people, because I think that's the best way. Stick your legs under the kitchen table, have a cup of tea, and get to know each other. In fact, occasionally I get some of the children ringing up and saying, I'm so glad you came up and met with us all, and it's kind of like, Mark, the test whether or not you're going to do a good job for us, whether we all liked you around the dinner table at night.
Yeah.
And everyone was comfortable with the conversations that had with you, and so that's always a good measure for me, when everyone's getting on and laughing and having a good time. And I think the fact that I grew up out west probably plays a lot in my favour. I can feel the empathy for what's happening on the property, and different times people are going through. But just getting back to what I said I was going to talk about, the big issues. To me, the big issues are fairness, a harmonious outcome, understanding of what mum and dad are trying to achieve, and so that everyone's really on the same page. Giving people options in regard to, do you want to head this way? Do you want to head that way? And as I said, Michelle, having an outside, non-biased view. some people I've dealt with over the last few weeks, there was their local accountant really wanted to do this work for them, and I always say you're just too close. You really need to get someone that has no preconceived ideas, doesn't know the people before I turn up, and can look objectively at the situation and come in with a clean slate, so to speak. So, what are your feelings in regard to those 5 things we touched on, Michelle? Fairness, harmonious outcome, options, and understanding, and so on. Does that sort of ring true for you?
Yeah, it's definitely what we focus on as well. Fairness, obviously, not equality, as we say all the time. And then I think the other point that's really important for us is giving options. Here's all the information. Here are the options that suit you. It's up to you to then make that decision on what you think is best for you. It's a massive.
Absolutely. And, sometimes it's, as an outsider, you can look at something and say, I know exactly how this what they should do. And sometimes I get caught up in that myself. Sometimes it's kind of like, this is what you need to do. But I know Tom's very good at that. He's better at it than me. Is to say, well, you can do this, or you can, alternatively, you can stick with this strategy, and here's the plus side, here's the negative side. But give people those options. But family harmony is just the big one for me. I think it's so important to make sure that at the end of the day, everyone still gets together. I'm getting like a broken record with this. Everyone gets together at Christmas as mates, and but it's really important. And I think if people understand that at the start of the process, they understand that the role we're playing in helping with their estate and succession planning is providing a fair and harmonious outcome. So you're not pulling the family apart by doing what we're doing. So one of the questions, Michelle, and as I say, with your experience, you'd see this is when you have meetings with families, and there's 3 different properties. They're all they're different sizes, different values, and all that sort of stuff. You got 3 kids that are busting to be on the land, or 4 properties and 4 kids, whatever. And sometimes it's difficult to. You just can't ever be equal in regard to creating an outcome that's going to work for everyone, can you? And sometimes you've just got to work on fairness and being as close as possible, but also understanding that we all need to be grateful for whatever our parents leave us. We just need to be grateful not to have that sense of entitlement or expectation, and that's really where people get stuck, isn't it?
I think that's the challenge, is the parents spend a lot of time and energy into putting something in place, and they believe it's fair, and it's what if you thought about it in every logical way, it's how it should be. So the kid who's on the farm running it gets the farm, and the other kids get some other compensation for that. But something we can't control in the end is how the kids are going to react to that. I know your conversations throughout the process with the kids is helpful, but people definitely have what they think now, and what they say now is often very different to how they might react when it's actually happening and in front of them. So it is a big challenge, and something that just needs to be talked through with everybody. Sure.
And but having said all that too, I think if you can have these logical conversations up front, and if everyone knows what the outcome's going to be, I usually find that if people know now what the outcome's going to be, even if it's in 5 years' time and it happens, mum and dad pass away, and the plans are implemented, very hard for them to jump up and down then and misbehave. If they've had great communication, they've been able to talk about it with mum and dad. Mum and dad have been able to explain why they're doing things a certain way, and if everyone understands up front, I think it's hard then to get the irritations when it all happens. You've had every opportunity to have the chat with mum and dad, and usually there's good logical reasons, and sometimes one kid might end up with a more expensive property. If you tried to even it up and give the same value to the second child, they'd get a property and a whole lot of cash, and the eldest child would get a property with a whole lot of debt. And sometimes it just doesn't. You can't work it that way, because the eldest child might get more assets, but the debt could just weigh them down as interest rates go up, and so on. And the other child gets a happy size and a grateful property they should be grateful for, but they've got all this cash. So they're way ahead of the guy that's got the debt. I mean, I'd take the cash any day.
And that's the sort of thing that once you've communicated that, because somebody who might receive the property and the cash doesn't think about the person with the big property and the debt. They just see it as they get the big property. But if they're aware of all of the intricacies behind it, then they'll be much more receptive to what they've got and much happier, I would think.
Sure. Actually, one of the interesting things, Michelle, too, is, and we may have talked about this before, is the family home and the family property. In every other industry in the world, nobody cares who ends up with the family home or the family property, but sorry, the family business or whatever. But certainly in rural families, where all the kids grew up on this rural property, it really just ingrains deeply into all of us. And I mean, I understand it. Having said that, I'm the youngest of 4 in my family, and there's no way I was ever going to end up with the main property, which my oldest brother has. But there's a real sense of belonging, and for some kids, it's a really difficult thing to think that one of their other siblings is going to end up with their home that they grew up in, and that's just one of those things. So I always try and impart to the child that ends up with the family original family homestead, to make sure they keep it open and allow the others to always come back and have holidays, and it's all tied up with that, creating as much fairness as you can and making sure that everyone's communicated and there's harmony in the family, I guess. So that's that. So good. I just want to touch quickly on the 10 mindsets of successful estate succession planning. But occasionally we run across this, and I know this is sort of talking about myself more than it is talking about life, legacy, and legal. So I'll just quickly give this the book we released, the 10 mindsets of successful estate and succession planning. There's the website, which gives you an opportunity to go through and fill out a bit of a scorecard in regard to what your thoughts are in regard to how you look at estate and succession planning. So I'm going to here we are. I'm going to go to the second of the 10 questions in the book, second of the 10. And the second one is a desire to leave an extraordinary legacy. And I get people to rate themselves from 1 to 10. And the worst case scenario is someone whose mindset is, I don't really care much about my family or their financial security. It's not my priority. So that's a mindset of they're very probably self-centered, inward looking, very low in the word you used before, which was empathy.
Empathy, yep.
They're very low on the empathy scale. Empathy scale. So the worst sort of mindset for that is, you don't care about your family. Let them all get on. And I strike this occasionally. It's kind of like, we worked hard. I had to make, every dollar I've made, and the kids should do exactly the same thing. So I don't want to give them too big a head start. If that's how you feel, that's valid for you. But if that's your mindset, that's kind of like a low score. Best case is I'm passionate about my family and ensuring they are financially secure. My family's well-being is my top priority. And if they, if that's how they feel, they mark themselves 10 on that. And so we have 10 areas we take people through where they can mark themselves. and then at the end of it, they they've got their score out of 100. And effectively, what we've worked out, Michelle, and I'll stop plugging that website now. What we've worked out is if people have a low score in regard to mindsets in how they feel about their family, whether they really love, care passionately about their family, they're a team player, they're prepared to invest in positive outcomes. In other words, they're prepared to pay for a specialist rather than go to the cheapest GP they can find. If people have a low mindset rating, I've actually got to the point, and you can check the number in the book or online when you go through this. I actually say to them, I say, look, we can't help you. Great, thank you for taking the quiz, but at this stage, we really can't help you. You're not going to be a good fit for us. And just as clients can look at us and not like us and not want to work with us, we have the same right to look at someone, because we know that it's just going to end badly. And even if they sign up at the start, if their mindset is all wrong, the relationship's never going to work, and we're never going to get a good outcome for the clients. And so what we're trying to do is to allow people to self-select, and if they have the right mindset, come on board, let's have a chat, let's talk, let's see if we can work together and help you. And if their mindset score is very low, we're really saying to them, hey, look, thank you, and we wish you well, and I hope everything works out for you, but we're not going to be the people to be able to help you. So do you find that sometimes with clients, you can people can engage, but you can tell up front there's just not going to be a good outcome?
Yeah, often, actually not often, but every now and again we do come across people who they just want to get the cheapest, easiest, simplest will, and they come with a long list of specific things that each one in its own would be something we need to deal with separately or in a particular way. And you lay that out, you give them the options, and then they still come back and say, but I just want the cheapest and simplest. And it's at that point where we can comfortably say we're not right for each other. It's not, we're not comfortable doing this for you because we don't believe it's right for you. And I think that's really important. Both of you need to be able to fit with each other for a good outcome, as you say.
Sure, absolutely. Because, at the end of the day, if you go ahead at that point and they're wanting something that you think is just really wrong for them, it's going to blow up in your face, or my face, or your face. The reality is you'll do something for them that's substandard. The stuff will hit the wall, and they'll come back and blame you for not having done it properly, the way it should have been done in the first place, even though they told you to do it the wrong way, so to speak. So I think it's important, and that's why I want to incorporate more and more in what we do, scorecards with people, so that we can, not just in regard to their mindsets, but just in regard to what their thoughts are in regard to certain topics as we're going along as well. So, but certainly mindset is a very important one. But look, we've hard to believe, Michelle, but we're at 30 minutes. And who would have thought we find stuff to talk about every week? But I do want to finish off today, and just a real shout out to you and Tom for the creation of and the commencement on the 1st of July of Life, Legacy and Legal. It's it's great opportunity. Tom's been doing this for a long time. Great opportunity for him to get a fresh start too. But for yourself, I'm really excited for you that this is something that's going to be great for you, and I wish you well in all the endeavours in regard to this business. So I know we'll do lots of work together. We're of the same mind in regard to how to look after people. So
yeah, thank you. I'm really excited about it.
No, good on you. Thanks for your contribution today, Michelle, and look forward to seeing you next fortnight when we chat again. Until then, have a great day, everyone.